I'm Lisa Magnuson, the 5X Deal Expert. And welcome to my monthly show, which can be seen the third Thursday of every month on the Bright Talk platform Sales Experts channel. And we are going to be covering how to win 5X deals repeatedly throughout the year. So I'm so excited that you've joined us today. If you are a sales VP, a senior sales manager, or a savvy enterprise salesperson, you are going to get so much out of this series. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to answer your most pressing questions. So we've been doing polls, we've been talking to sales VPs, we've been listening to you, our listeners, and we have collected 3 questions that get asked over and over again. And so we are going to answer those questions for you today. So by the end, you are going to be armed with some fresh insights and some new ideas, and hopefully be motivated to go out and win 5X deals repeatedly over the course of the year. I'd like to share a little success story with you as we're getting started. 2020 was a difficult year. Luckily, it's well behind us now, but we learned some things last year that were so important to carry into this year. And they're really kind of the keys to success. So as I was working with my clients throughout the year, we noticed 4 things. And these 4 things really, when we paid attention to them, contributed to success for every single one of my clients. 5X deal success, revenue success, profit success, growth. And what those 4 things were are this. We noticed that we had to keep things really simple. Nobody had any bandwidth for complexity. Everything had to be simple. Conversations had to be simple. Next steps had to be simple. Proposals had to be simple. We also noticed that 100% of the conversation had to be focused on our prospects' priorities. We had to really understand what those were, why they were important, who owned them within the organization, why now, what would happen if they accomplished those priorities, what would happen if they didn't. The conversations had to be so focused around their priorities. For my clients who are out there listening, you know that I call those win themes. The other thing that we noticed, the third thing, so simple, 100% focus on their priorities. The third thing that we noticed is everything had to be immediately relevant. People were not looking down the road or for long-term projects or long-term initiatives. They needed things that would generate an impact for them now. And so every single proposal had to show an immediate impact. Even if there was long-term impact, what was the initial outcomes that the client or prospect could expect in addition to any longer term? So just that immediate impact or outcomes was so important. And lastly, prospects did not have any tolerance for risk. They were risk averse. And we know that because they stayed with the status quo. The status quo has been one of the biggest competitors that you'll face for a long time, but it became just a formidable competitor last year and continues into this year. So very low or no risk. And when we really paid attention to those 4 success factors, keep it simple, 100% focus on them, immediate impact, little to no risk, we won. We won over time. We won big deals and had an extremely successful year. So moving on, I want to show you an engine or a system as we think about not just winning a 5X deal once, and I'm going to define what a 5X deal is in a second, but winning them consistently over time, repeatedly. So I want to show you this diagram. Now, I know you can't see all the pieces of it, but this is the wheel or the engine that drives the repeated success. And I use this with all my clients as an assessment. We do it when we first start working together, then we come back to it, or the beginning of the year and the end of the year. It's so helpful. And you can download this wheel or engine as an assessment. It's a 4-page assessment as a thank you bonus if you decide to invest in my latest book called the Top Sales Leader Playbook. It includes 16 plays to repeatedly win 5x deals in your organization. And it's for sales VPs, savvy sales managers, or really senior enterprise sellers will get a lot out of it too. And every play is practical, it's broken down, it has examples, and every play has a sideline coach. I literally searched the world or the expert on each play and then interview them as a sideline coach. So you get that perspective as well. It's an excellent book. And when you get this book, which is available on Amazon, you can save your Amazon receipt number and download that engine as an assessment or just a reference for your organization for all the pieces that have to be in place to really generate those 5x deals repeatedly. All righty, so let's go to your questions. These are your questions. The first question is, what is a 5x deal and why are they important? Well, the first part of that question is really easy to answer. A 5x deal is about 5 times your average deal size. So if your average deal size is $100,000, then a 5x deal is $500,000. Does that formula work for every single industry and company? No, of course not. It's just a general rule. But I have found that it generally does work for my clients, for most of the people that I talk with. So it's a really good general rule. Why are 5x deals important? Well, most people out there listening are yelling the answers because we all know that if you get those big deals, they're game changers. They change your year. They become that banner customer that everybody talks about. They become the stories associated with them go far and wide. They change the game in terms of your commissions for the year, and the whole account team has so much pride and ownership with that deal. And they lead to more business. Big deals mean that you're going to have that customer, that client for a while, long while in most cases, and that's going to lead to more business. So they literally just bring so much more with them. I call that the multiplier effect. And I know that for those of you out that have landed 5x deals or an organization that lands them repeatedly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so they're worth it. They're more work, but they're worth it. So next question. The next question is, can you explain the difference in the sales approach between a regular deal, the deals you do all the time, and a 5x deal? And so that's a great question that really kind of gets to the heart of what needs to occur to win these big deals and to win them repeatedly. So the first thing that you have to do difference is you're going to put together your account team. You know, when you're just doing your normal business, you're probably doing that mostly on your own. Maybe you've got some resources, but for the big 5x deal, you're going to get that account team and those resources together right up front. Before there even is, you might just be at the first stages of your sales process, but you're going to get that account team together. Then you're going to really identify that prospect buying team, because big deals are complex, they're messy, there's more people on your side, there's also more people on your prospect side. I've been part of global deals that have had upwards of 20 people on both sides, the account team side and the buyer's side, maybe from all parts of the globe too, which makes scheduling meetings a little bit challenging. But they're complex because of the number of people. And not only are you going to understand the buying team, you're really going to understand those relationships. What do you have and what do you need? And, you know, in some industries, that's an easy question to answer. You know exactly the role of the people that you're going to need to get a big deal done over time. But Sometimes it's not always an easy answer. You have to really think, or sometimes you are lulled into complacency because you have a strong relationship. Maybe that relationship is an internal champion, or maybe that relationship is a senior executive sponsor. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with account teams right at the beginning of a 5X deal sales process, and the account executive says, you know what? I am good friends with this executive sponsor. He or she, I worked with them before, or they're my neighbor, or I've known them for a long time. We've been to lunch, we've been to dinner, we've been on an outing. We got this. And then flash forward months down the road, they don't have it. That wasn't enough. That senior person says, you know what, I shouldn't be involved in this sale, so I'm going to step out. That's actually the most frequent thing that happens. Or maybe they go to another responsibility. They have a different focus months down the road, and all of a sudden aren't responsible for your area of service or products. It could be anything. But the important thing is that you identify those relationships, all the relationships, and we know that that number is growing. We know it's usually 5, 6 more that you're gonna need. Then the account team really needs to understand that 5X deals don't happen in a couple months. Just with my experience over the last 20 plus years, it's a 9-month process on average. So yes, in your industry, maybe it's 6, maybe your industry is 18 months. Whatever it is, if it's a 5X deal, it's longer. And so the team has to stay focused. They have to stay committed. They have to stay accountable to advancing that sales process. And they do that through strategy work. So the team is going to commit to strategy work. I call those war rooms, and they're going to commit to those over time. It's, an example of a team with a 5X opportunity. An example would be they'd meet twice a month or every 3 weeks, nothing less than once a month if they really want to keep the ball moving and they want to keep advancing. So what is the difference? The difference is that you have to do all the things that you do as part of your normal sales process. You have to identify the opportunity. You have to qualify the opportunity. You have to develop the opportunity. You have to propose or present, and then you have to close. But you have to do those things, and you have to do them well, and then you have to do all that other stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but so worth it. And, my experience, most people don't have 25 prospects for 5X opportunities. They've got, 2 or 3 or maybe 5, 10 at the most. So you can afford to spend that extra work that's required on those top opportunities. Last question. What are the keys to success? So this is a great question, and there's some overlap to this question to the question that we just talked about, which was what are the differences between my normal sales process and a 5X sales process or a 5X opportunity, but there's also some differences too. So what are the keys to success? First of all, choose wisely. When you're thinking about your top opportunities, don't just think about revenue. Really think about more than revenue. Think about the relationships that you have. Think about, are they a current customer that you could expand? That's easier than going after a brand new prospect. Think about, do you have a track record with them? Do you know them, whether they're a new prospect or an existing client? So you want to do a good job of picking the right accounts. One of the ways to do that is to score them. So when I work with my clients, we work through a strategy brief, and it has a lot of the components that the account team is going to need to address and think about and go through over time. But it starts with scoring, and scoring is on my scoring for big accounts. There's 7 or 8 things that we score. We don't just look at revenue and profit. We look at, is there a strategic value to the account? Are there other issues like geography or business lines or other things to consider when going after this opportunity. We think about, is the customer committed, the prospect committed to solve their problem? And then we think about, is the account team committed to really work this over time? So first key to success, choose wisely, score these opportunities, and then pick your top ones, whatever that is for you, 1, 2, 3, and then you want to start the process. And you want to start that process by establishing that account team up front. And if you think you're going to be together for a long time, like we talked about, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months longer, then really take the time at the beginning to establish roles and responsibilities and expectations and ground rules. It'll pay off in dividends as you go through. And those will be unique to every account team. But, account teams are temporary teams. Usually the members of the team don't all work for the same manager. You might have an account manager, an account executive, somebody from professional services, somebody from the customer success team, somebody, an analyst, all kinds of different people can add value to these big opportunities. And you want to gather them early and really form that account team. And then as you go through, not all those resources are going to be involved with every account strategy or war room meeting, but you've established that team and you've talked about how they're going to communicate. You've established when certain people are going to come in and out of strategy sessions, and you've really gotten that sort of baseline. Then one of the things that's most important is to commit. Commit to that opportunity. You've scored it. You've assembled the team. You've talked about roles, responsibilities, ground rules. But now commit to the long term. And you can do that by calendarizing your war room strategy sessions for X number of months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever that is for your opportunity. Calendarize them up front so you can commit. Talk about where the strategy work is going to reside, the strategy brief. Where's that going to be? Is it going to be part of your CRM? Is it going to be in a shared drive? Where is that work going to be? And specifically, where are those action items going to be? Because the whole importance of thinking through relationship mapping and SWOT and competitive threats is to advance. And we only advance through actions. And so it's essential that those actions are committed to and members of the account team are accountable for those things. So how is that going to work with your account team and within your organization? And the last key to success, one of my favorite parts, is to celebrate. Celebrating is not optional. Celebrating is not just a nice to do. It's a have to do. This temporary team came together and they worked hard over time. And when you close that deal, instead of just going straight to implementation or a few emails, really take the time to celebrate. That might look a little different in a live virtual world. I remember even years ago, there was a global team that I was a part of, and so a live celebration was just not going to be positive. But the VP of sales put together little celebration kits and sent them to all the members of the team and painstakingly made sure that everybody that contributed to that big deal was included, not just people from the sales organization. And then, so during their virtual call, they had their celebration packages and there was some structure to that call. Some of the highlights, some of the funny moments, just all those things. Those are deposits in the bank of the account team to energize them to do it again. And they will depend on those deposits when things get hard with the next one. They can really tap into those memories. And oh yeah, we had some hard things, but we got over them and we got through and we got that big deal, we got that contract, and now they're our customer and they love us. And we can use them as a reference and a referral and a case study. So the whole thing of celebrating is so important. So that's it. If you really understand what a 5X deal is and why it's important, what it's going to do for your organization, and how it's different than your normal sales process, what you have to do differently, and those key to successes, then what's going to happen is you are going to ring the bell, and not just once, but repeatedly. It's literally the highlight of my day when my clients email me and tell me they won, they got the contract, and we get to ring the bell together, whatever that looks like. Such an exciting time. And you know what? If you want more resources, I would invite you to go to my website, www.toplinesales.com, www.toplinesales.com, and there's some great resources there. One, that's where you're going to be able to download that success engine assessment if you decide to invest in my latest book. There's also a great pre-call plan guide that I use literally every week with clients. You can download that for free. You can sign up for my newsletter. There's some case studies of some big 5X wins, all kinds of stuff. So if you want more, visit our website, www.toplinesales.com. And we love referrals. If you know somebody who is a VP of sales with a company somewhere in the range of 20 million, 300 to 300 million, that's kind of our sweet spot, with at least one team. It could be many teams, but at least one team that has the ability to identify, develop, and close big 5X deals, and they need some help, then we would love that referral. So thank you, and we will see you next time on our show, Winning 5X Deals. Lisa Magnuson signing out.